Welcome to SEC After Dark. You'll always be. Sing it, Jeb.
I have a terrible singing voice. I don't want to destroy
Come on, Jeb.
Third in the SEC. Oh, sorry. I just thought I knew the words.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So
Actually,
welcome.
A fruit roll-up bikini.
What?
John, really?
John coming out blazing. All right. It's SEC After Dark. Apparently, the chat is also SEC After Dark.
Becky, you got any of those?
John, you are going to get a lot of Rocky Top in this segment.
John,
so you know.
I think you're in the wrong chat there, bud. We are SEC After Dark. Jake Thomas, the victorious Jeb Beecham, and Stephen Willis, also the voice of God. Becky Willis completes the show. We got an action-packed show for you guys. We are on the Bleav Network, also on y'all's conference network on the video side. Holy cow, this chat, if you want to get involved in it, it is on the YouTube channel. Just go and subscribe. God almighty. John is coming. John is on fire right now. You need to join in on this thing if you haven't already. You just need to get started. But like I said, we got an action-packed show, some big victories, a very big game between John and Steve this week, and much, much more. But of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say that we are brought to you by BetOnline.ag. It is your number one spot for all your sports betting needs. It's your number one source for all your sports betting needs. You can find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends as your continued source for all sports wagering info. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. The MLB playoffs, perhaps NHL. Yeah, you can bet golf. And most importantly, NFL and college football. So head to betonline.ag, join, and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. That's 100% welcome bonus. Make sure you use that promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Jeb, I got to say, we let the intro of Rocky Top play out. I was disappointed that you did not sing along, but I'm gonna start with you. Big win for the Vols, a 15-year monkey off the backs of the Vol Nation. Just tell me, in general, and we'll get to more specifics in the game, but what was going through your mind from start to finish?
That was one of the best football games I've ever seen, honestly. It was exactly what I wanted from Tennessee. But what I loved about it was Tennessee did come out and do what I hoped first. Jumped up big early, just punched Alabama straight in the mouth. And then Alabama, because they're Alabama, did not let that hold them down and immediately came back and just basically took control of that game back from Tennessee late in the game, which was amazing. But what surprised me the most wasn't that. It was that Tennessee in the last 15 years, when that would happen to them, would fold. 15 years of folding, and we finally didn't do it. It was amazing. It was a great game to watch. At the end of it just about killed me for the night. Like I had to lay down after that for a little while. It was so much fun. So that's what college football should be right there. That game is what college football should be.
And Jake, what was going through your mind, just in a general sense? And like I said, we'll get to the details here in a minute.
When Tennessee went up 28-10, I think, there in the second quarter, I was like, with Bill O'Brien's play calling, I do not trust him to lead a comeback. I did trust Bryce Young, though, to lead a comeback. And, I mean, if there's any question, Hendon Hooker's great, and he deservedly should be in the Heisman talking. He should be the front runner right now. But Bryce Young is a special player, and I think we all four can agree with that. I mean, that kid showed heart, and not once did he flinch. So, you know, I was proud to see him lead that charge.
Now, I was thinking two things. Number one, why in the hell was Vanderbilt, Georgia on at the same exact time? I was pissed about that because I can't abandon the Dogs. But I found myself watching Tennessee, Alabama more often because I was like, well, as you know, that Vanderbilt, Georgia game was kind of a snooze fest. But I had to have stuff to talk about on my Bleav In Georgia Dawgs show, where you can also find me. We got some content out, new content out with Israel Troop and I. But I had to be able to watch that so that I could get the live contact or the live stuff for, my show on Sundays. And if I DVR'd it, I knew I wasn't going to watch it because I'm just like that. I just can't do it for whatever reason. I kept going back to Alabama game, and I was like, okay, well, Alabama, as soon as they stop tripping over there, they'll get back in this game, they'll take control. And just when I thought they had control, they never really did. The fourth down stop in the third quarter, they take the lead on a couple of occasions. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Now Alabama's going to take control. Never really did. Couldn't really stop the deep to intermediate balls. Hendon Hooker had a tremendous game. Both quarterbacks were outstanding. Bryce Young showed no ill effects. If there were any, you didn't see it from his shoulder. The only ill effects were the play calling from Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding. Yeah. Not sure what was going on. And I think Saban at one point asked what the F is going on. I don't want to lose our clean rating yet. But he was asking what the F is going on. What the F are you doing when they try to field that punt? And so just stupid, uncharacteristic mistakes that Alabama made really kind of shocked me in this one. But like I said, game of the year so far.
Alabama seems to have had a problem with penalties this year. It's a very, very uncharacteristic year, I think, in penalties. You don't see that from Saban teams very often.
Well, I think just in general, there have been at least stretches of games where this has been a very un-Alabama-looking season. I mean, against Texas, they got lucky to get out of Austin with the win and almost set the school record for penalties. Against Tennessee, I think they did set the school record.
They did.
And then they doubled down.
17.
Yeah. And against Texas A&M, if you had a quarterback that had a throwing motion that didn't make Tim Tebow look like Dan Marino, you might have had a chance in that game. Against Arkansas, until the big plays happened in the fourth quarter, I think Alabama genuinely thought Arkansas was going to come back on them for a second. This has been an un-Alabama-like season. Now, I'm not saying they can't turn it around. I'm not saying – because this is a supremely talented team.
Oh, yeah.
But if you woke up on Sunday morning and Alabama could not stop Mississippi State, would it really surprise you?
There's some cracks in the foundation for sure. Like there's some issues going on there. Like I don't know what exactly they are. I can't pinpoint them because it's different every week. But it just seems like things are sloppy. Just doesn't seem like anybody's in sync. The secondary's not communicating, and it's not just Jalen Hyatt won a one-on-one battle on a deep shot, and that was it. I mean, these are busted coverages. People running wide open. Missed tackles, like things that Alabama is usually great with.
And also a real lack of pass rush, which is what surprised me, I think, the most. Our offensive line either had a great game or Alabama's defensive line had a bad one. Will Anderson, I'm not sure he was there.
Dude.
Now, yeah, they can turn it around. They can turn it around this season. I'm not saying Alabama can't. Like I said, they're supremely talented.
They've got some things to figure out.
This team right now, the only difference between them and an 8-4 team is Bryce Young. Yeah, that's the difference right now. Bryce Young's the best quarterback that has ever played at Alabama, and I'm a huge Tua guy. Bryce Young is amazing. But you remove him from the game, they're just a good team. They're not
Milrose
great.
In there, they
they're
get
just
blown
a
out.
good team. Yeah.
If Milrose in there, we're talking 48-10, probably. Like they're not moving the ball on Tennessee that night. Now, if they played them again in a different environment, where I don't know, like if Alabama were playing this game at home, I don't know if it's any different. But to people who say environment doesn't matter, crowds don't matter, I want to take another look at this game because it absolutely does. Ask Notre Dame in 2019 when they came to Athens, did it matter? Because they were good that year. Ask them if it mattered. They got 8 false start penalties because of the crowd. Ask Arkansas last year, does crowds matter? That was a noon kick. Ask them if it matters.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And Tennessee's crowd was,
like
I said, worse than bonkers.
Yeah, that's exactly what Steve said. If we went undefeated into that game, that crowd was going to be absolutely insane, and it was absolutely insane.
So Unfortunately or fortunately, last year we had a sneak peek of what this crowd could be, and those guys were hyped up. Mustard and golf balls for days.
So Lane's back on the Vol train, huh? I see.
Yeah,
Man, he loves to troll Tennessee.
He does.
But does he love trolling Nick Saban more?
Yes, and Georgia.
He does.
You saw the picture of like a dad Nick Saban with the baby Kirby Smart. I mean, I think he likes to troll everybody.
Yeah,
he does.
He's funny.
He's the
new Steve Spurrier.
Yeah.
But yes, technically
Bama
should
though.
have 3 losses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A&M, I don't know. I just never felt like A&M was going to win that game. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe if Texas hadn't lost Quinn Ewers, but other than that,
if Quinn Ewer, I don't know. I don't know if that changes things or not. I know we play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game, and injuries happen.
If the free rusher makes a tackle, Alabama doesn't win that game. But Bryce Young contorted his body in a weird way, made that guy miss, and scrambled for 25 yards. I mean, that win is totally on Bryce Young, transcendent quarterback.
he shouldn't be that hard
Absolutely.
to bring down. Tennessee had trouble bringing him down. It was watching him
So,
just
Jake,
run around back there.
Do you feel like Bill O'Brien's wasting his career, wasting his talent?
I mean, I don't know. I think Pete Golden in that game wasted his talent for sure. I mean, anytime Bryce went down and scored, he just allowed Tennessee to go down and score the ball too. So I mean, and it was just a weird game. I mean, if we're going to talk about the game now, when we had the ball with like 45 seconds left, and we throw 3 straight freaking passes. I'm sorry. You got to run the ball to make Tennessee use their timeouts. And even if Riker still misses it, you go into overtime and you give yourself a shot. But with Tennessee having 3 timeouts and the middle of the seam has been open all game long, and Hooker found his guys, two passes, got down there in field goal range and won it. You know.
And Gibbs didn't have a bad
it
game.
was just-
It wasn't great, but it wasn't a bad game. I'm surprised they didn't run him too.
Gibbs had an impact at certain times. It's just it felt like more scattered. It was a quiet 100 yards because he would disappear for long stretches, and I don't know if that was mostly play calling or if Tennessee just was stout against the run at times. But yeah, you run it 3 times no matter what the result is. You kick it going to overtime. I think Bama wins in overtime. Truthfully, I think Tennessee would have ran out of gas. That's why they got so aggressive right there when they got the ball back with 30 seconds or 20 seconds or 15 seconds, whatever it was.
15,
15, and they threw those passes like that. I think because they knew they would run out of gas and they were playing for the win.
I think Bama had the momentum. Yeah.
Well, what date is Tennessee and Georgia? Is that November 5th?
November 5th. Yeah, right after Florida, and right after Kentucky for Tennessee.
Yep.
So that's the same day as the Alabama LSU game.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Because what we're situating and we're settling on, if Ole Miss wins their next 3 games, they can clinch the West after they beat Alabama. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not counting chickens. I'm just saying that is the possibility with 2 games left to play. This is a weird year in the SEC West. Now, I think Alabama and LSU is going to be a war. I think Ole Miss and LSU is going to be a war. I think Mississippi State and Alabama and Mississippi State is going to be a pillow fight.
Still a war, though.
Yeah. I think Georgia and Mississippi State has a chance to be a really good game, by the way.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the game after Tennessee where Georgia might come in and win that game, and then they slip up the next week, and you have the equivalent of a constitutional crisis in the SEC.
Because we're going to Starkville.
Mississippi State has Alabama after Tennessee, and then they have Georgia after Tennessee. Oh, poor Mississippi State. They just got to take those lumps for us after we beat both those teams. Oh, I feel bad for them.
I think I read something. I don't know if I'm correct on this, but Mississippi State hadn't scored a touchdown against Alabama since 2014 or something like that.
Oh wow!
I know Mike Leach hasn't, and he's been there 2 years. So
wow.
Wow.
With that air raid offense.
Somebody said that the last touchdown pass was like Dak Prescott threw it in Tuscaloosa in 2014.
Yeah, that's probably correct.
That's gonna be a bloodbath.
Wow.
That's
Nuts.
wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He may get a few this weekend though.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and if our Auburn fan is watching on the show, Tank Bigsby owns Ole Miss, absolutely owns Ole Miss, but that's all that owns Ole Miss from that team anymore.
Yeah.
Man,
Tank's a man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd hate to see what Auburn probably wouldn't have a win without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean,
although Ashford came, he's getting a little bit better each week. Mother Nature gave you guys a big, big hand, Steve.
No, it didn't. We were going to win that game regardless, even without the lightning delay. We had just scored a touchdown to go up 14 with 6 minutes left.
They were pressing.
We had just scored a touchdown to go up 14 before the lightning break. Yeah,
I just like tweaking sometimes.
Yeah.
I tell you, speaking for Auburn, pulling Ashford out for that one series and get his head collected kind of really, calmed him down a little bit. Maybe that might be a turning point for him.
It looked like it was going to have the opposite effect because he just threw a temper tantrum on the sideline.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
John, what got into your Tigers, man? Going down to the swamp, taking care of business. So yeah, that was interesting.
That was wild.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at LSU and physically being the same kind of team this year. That's what it looked like. They traded a lot of hits back and forth. That was a good game too.
LSU said, "No, we ain't Florida."
Yeah, they definitely took it in.
Can we have a conversation on this show? The second worst record in the SEC over the last 2 seasons. Which team owns that?
Second worst over the last 2
Second
seasons?
worst. Vanderbilt's winless. That's a free space. Who's the most losses? Worst record?
Missouri?
Is it Florida?
It's the Florida Gators.
Really?
They're 3-11 over the last 14 games.
Daggone.
And they beat Utah, and they get ranked 12th in the country because of the logo on the side of their helmet.
Yep.
Yeah.
LSU gives up 35 points to them and wins 45-35, and all of a sudden LSU is favored over the number 7 team in the country in Tiger Stadium because they beat that logo in the swamp, and that carries that weight. And this isn't that team. Now, Billy Napier is going to get him there because he can coach football, but he's not that team yet. And Anthony Richardson,
mess.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson, he's not that dude. He's not.
No.
He's a super athlete playing quarterback, and he looked fantastic on that 81-yard touchdown run, but he's just not that dude.
No, he's not. He's way too inconsistent to be that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He looks brilliant 1 minute and looks like he's never played quarterback before the next. And then looks like a running back. And then throws a pass to himself. I don't know. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. They beat Utah, and they had him in a Heisman talk and a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. It's like settle down, people. These same media people that are doing all this are probably the same ones that put Notre Dame in the top 5 every year.
Right.
It's clicks, man. They're getting their clicks. They're getting their attention. Everybody's talking about them. Hey, did you see so-and-so put Anthony Richardson in the Heisman buzz? Yeah.
No, and I could see, too, that being excited, or not excited, but liking his potential because he does look good occasionally in games, but they're still not winning. I mean, he looked good against Tennessee, too, but didn't translate to wins. And then he has games where he's just god-awful. You can't put somebody like that in Heisman talks.
Yeah.
No.
He like I said, he's I would take Kitna over him at quarterback, honestly.
Wow.
Put the backup in. I like more from what I saw from, well, I guess his name's Jalen Kitna than what I've seen from Anthony Richardson. That includes his crazy spin move that he did on the 2-point conversion play against Utah.
It's just too inconsistent. I mean, he's a below 60% passer. Not going to be good enough in this league. You're not going to be able to run like that for long in this league. Even Tim Tebow had to throw some, and he was pretty consistent. Even though his throw motion looked like he was launching a hand grenade. So,
you got to wonder how long they're going to give him before they give up on all that potential.
Yeah, what is the old coaches saying? Your potential is going to get me fired.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the Florida admin have to know what Billy Napier walked into.
Yeah,
which was a absolute mess.
Yeah,
and just imagine if the entire both drink aisles at the grocery store collapsed and every bottle busted everywhere. They were all, there's glass and all kind of drinks everywhere and the chip bags ripped open. And just imagine if a grocery store was turned upside down. That's what he walked into because Dan Mullen doesn't know how to recruit.
Yeah, he went down to Florida and just assumed Florida would recruit itself. They're not a good football team right now.
Mm-mm. They're 3-11 in their last 14 SEC games. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Well, think about this: Florida's best a transfer from Arizona State, and Florida is relying on a middle tier Pac-12 team.
Yeah, they didn't even tarmac their coach. They goal lined him. They didn't even let him cross the goal line before they fired him.
That's because they weren't crossing it either. So
when you're doing that and you're got one of the most fertile recruiting states in the entire country, that's bad. Yeah. But Billy Napier is doing better in recruiting too, with Lincoln Riley stealing half the roster. So
still worried about play volume in Oklahoma. Jeff Lebby, I don't know.
Yeah, they've got to. Kansas is a good football team.
Well, they didn't have their quarterback.
Gave up a lot of points too.
Yeah.
Judge Bean is a good quarterback.
Judge Bean.
Yeah.
Judge Bean.
I may be wrong on this, but didn't I see every team in the SEC minus, I think?
It could be right. I haven't really followed recruiting since I left Rivals. So.
Ole Miss has 11 commits. 8 is unbelievable.
The transfer portal hadn't hit yet. Let's just call
They did the transfer portal to raise the profile of the school for the high school recruits to catch up with. So you're going to see probably.
It says Facebook user, if you could identify yourself. I don't think that experiment, with the way he's going, allowed to run the ball. You don't have to throw every time. I think he just figured that out. They're actually running a lot better, have more success.
Mike Leach will be fine until he loses for the third time in a row to Lane Kiffin. Root for Alabama over Mississippi State because if Mississippi State wins, that element of crazy exists in that fan base. And when Lane Kiffin beat,
and I agree. I think Mike Leach has been good for the program. He does well there, but he's not improving.
Do you think Dave Doran? There's a comment about Dave Doran, and I don't.
Second, Mississippi State is what level job in the SEC?
13.
13.
You have to think it's probably 12 or 13. Fifth.
Yeah, Dave Doran's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're probably. So you look at the prestige jobs in that conference. Virginia Tech still carries a lot of weight as far as jobs. They've all but foobarred every single hire since Frank Beamer left.
Yeah, I think Dave Doran is going to end up in the Big Ten eventually. One of these jobs are going to pop up in the Big Ten.
He's going to Maryland.
I think that's his major job.
Yeah, I mean he's a Northeast guy. He came from Boston College, didn't he?
No, Northern Illinois.
That's right. So he's a Midwest Big Ten country guy. Yeah. So he's going to Nebraska, folks. No, probably not.
Honestly, that would probably be a good fit.
It would be a good fit. Wouldn't have to change his color scheme either. So, anything else from Week 7 that we missed out on? Any games that you guys want to talk about? That Clemson Florida State game was actually pretty good outside of the SEC. USC Utah was a good one. TCU was a good one going into 2 overtimes to beat Oklahoma State after being down 17 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they came back in that game. That was great. I'm telling you, it was a great weekend of football. Sorry, Jake.
It was. It really was.
No, hey, live it up, brother. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Tennessee did what they had to do.
Well,
so,
I do want to point out. Yeah, I want to point this out because this is probably the only time we will be able to do that. But Jeb, me, and Corey are undefeated, and Alabama's bringing the average down.
that's crazy to be able to say that. It's crazy to be able to say that. So the last thing we'll say about Week 7, and unfortunately, this has become the story. Unfortunately, and Jake, maybe you can shed some insight. But what's going to happen with Jermaine Burton? What is that whole situation? Because that's very, very troubling if that comes out as what I think it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw, but supposedly he had pushed a female, was running onto the field, and I haven't heard any latest on it. I know they're looking into it. So I mean, honestly, go ahead, Jeb.
Oh no! I want to hear your thoughts. I'm wondering how serious it is. Yeah. It looks like he kind of smacked her in the head as he was walking by. It's not like he tried to hurt her, but still, I mean, a man shouldn't hit a woman.
It's not a good look to take a swipe at a woman.
Well, that's true. It's not
as she's walking by trying to dodge you.
I mean, that's Ray Rice level right there.
It's just never a good look there.
But I mean, the only assault that Jermaine Burton's done on the field this year was hit that girl. So I mean, he has not done anything. So
yeah, glad you could take him off our hands.
And
I can see why he was like fourth on his depth chart.
Yeah, for anybody in the chat that's wondering, 5 months ago, we told you Jermaine Burton, not that dude. He is not that guy. He's not even going to be a Jermaine or John Mechie in that offense, and that has absolutely been prophetic. He left Georgia because they had better receivers, and he got passed by A.D. Mitchell.
Mm-hmm. And he was.
Now we know why he got passed.
Post about it. So. So yeah. All right. Let's press on. Let's press forward. Okay. Let's get these games to watch. It's outside of this slate. It's pretty weak. Pretty weak. You got UT going against the mighty Skyhawks of UT Martin. That's the game of the week. Wait. Number really 7, Ole Miss travels to LSU. Somehow they're LSU's favored here. But this is obviously the game to watch in the conference this week. Seeing if Ole Miss can continue their undefeated ways and en route to that November 12th showdown with the Crimson Tide. So Steve, you've been going on about it all week on Locked On Ole Miss. You've been covering just about every angle, to what uniforms they're wearing, to the matchups, to the keys, things like that. So why don't you summarize your week in Locked On Ole Miss right now?
Well, I think this is a very important game. This is going to be the most talented team Ole Miss has played. And there is that mystique in Tiger Stadium, and there's so many new players going down to that environment. That is enough to make you a little bit scared. You are a little bit worried about how the players are going to react in that environment. But if they handle it well, I do wonder if LSU has the dudes, that dude is apparently my word tonight, to deal with Quinshon Judkins and Zach Evans.
He's sponsored by Hey Dude.
Yeah. Quinshon Judkins may be the best freshman in the country. He may be the best running back in the conference. And I have no idea how Auburn and Alabama let this kid leave the state.
I just noticed that today. He has 720 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's amazing. Yeah. I had no idea he had run that much.
And not just touchdowns. Yeah, he has explosive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Every time you see an Ole Miss highlight, it's Judkins going. And here I thought Zach Evans was going to be the premier guy in that team.
Right.
It's Judkins.
But he's fourth in the conference in rushing.
Yeah, I was going to say, between your two running backs, you have like 1,400 yards and like 17 touchdowns. They're averaging like 6 yards a carry between those two running backs. That's an incredible stat for Ole Miss, who you would think of as more of a passing team when you think of Lane Kiffin, but not at all.
But like we did in our boot camp, the offense, Steve, that is the biggest myth about the Lane Kiffin offense. It is actually a run-first offense.
Right.
Yeah.
They can back that up this year.
Yeah, the crazy thing is 2 weeks ago, Lane Kiffin and Jaxson Dart threw for 448 yards, and then last week they ran for 448 yards with 3 100-yard rushers. And it's absolutely crazy. But here's the scary thing, and what people need to realize about this Ole Miss team. Ole Miss hasn't played more than 2 quarters really well all season in any game. If they get that number to above 3, they're not losing that game. I don't care if they're playing Alabama. I don't care if they're playing anybody. They're not losing that game. But they can lose every game left on their schedule. So if Ole Miss went 7-5, I'd be like, well, okay, I can see how that happened. If Ole Miss goes 12-0, I would also say, yes, I can see how that happens. This is such a weird swing that potentially can happen over the next 7 games. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Ole Miss run game goes against an LSU team that's going to be put on the field and ready to go to try and stop it. I want to see how Judkins and Evans and Dart runs the ball, because the surprise of this season, besides Judkins, Jaxson Dart's feet running the football. 2 100-yard games this season. And
it's that option run game. I mean, Kiffin's putting him in some favorable situations, and it's Charlie Weiss Jr. really is putting him in some favorable situations in the run game, and they're really just kind of he's really starting to click with that offense, and that's the scary part. That's when it's going to change from 1.5, 2 quarters to 3 quarters of really just sound clicking football, because Jaxson Dart is getting more and more comfortable each and every series.
One thing that everybody needs to watch out for, if you want warning signs of this Ole Miss team is starting to click and it's ready to come on, look over the middle of the field. If the Ole Miss quarterbacks start completing passes to the tight end, to Jordan Watkins, and can occupy the linebackers on that side of the field and on that side of the linebackers, all of a sudden you've got them, they're going to have to take false steps. They're going to be guessing offensively, and if that happens, they're going to put up 50 points a game. It doesn't matter who they're playing.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Okay, so not only do you have 2 of the top 4 rushers in the conference, but Jaxson Dart has more rushing yards than Jabari Small does for Tennessee. That is amazing. Mm-hmm. That if they'll get that passing game, that intermediate passing game going, there's no way to stop that.
Yeah. And if you look at it, they probably have the 2nd or 3rd leading wide receiver in the conference as well at over 500 yards.
Yeah. And that's the reason why Jaxson Dart is leading in quarterback rushing and the tops of the league and just rushing in general, is because what do you stop first? Well, I mean, you got to stop Evans and Judkins first. Okay, then what do you stop? Okay, you got to stop Mingo. Well, okay, well now you got to close down the middle of the field in the passing game, so you can't come flying down, because they're good at RPOs too. Then what? Yeah. Well, you got the quarterback left. Like there's not answers for every single scenario, every single play. So they've got to give up something to stop something, and they're giving Jaxson Dart a lot of yards because of it.
You talk about weapons. Lane has weapons this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Steve, you thought they were a year away.
Yeah.
I had to talk you down off the ledge, because you were like, yeah, we're just not ready yet. We're going to have a pretty good season. If we're just competitive, we're going to be good. I'm like, dude, seriously, shut up. Look at all the weapons you have. Look at everything you have at your disposal. Your defense has pieces that are perfect for that scheme. They have good role players. There's no superstar on defense, but they have great role players that do a job, and they're not quite elite, but they are damn good defense. And offensively, you have really electric weapons. And I tried to tell you that, Steve. Yeah. And so.
Well, I was trying to temper expectations. I guess.
Okay,
what a yada yada. Yeah.
Okay, David Pollock.
No, but
go full Homer, man.
This whole thing with this Ole Miss team, this year was all about maximizing the quarterback position. But when you go down to Tiger Stadium, this is something that I think is a real thing. There's a chance. I think Jaxson Dart and Bo Wallace has some things in common. They're just a really similar. Whenever they're good, they are beyond good. But every now and then, they could just make a boneheaded decision, a boneheaded play. And in Tiger Stadium, there's a chance that is going to happen. It just needs to not happen at the wrong time, essentially.
Not be catastrophic, yeah.
Yeah. Avoid the pick six. Avoid the play that makes it 17-13. You're down in the third quarter or something like that changes all the momentum. If you can avoid that, you'll be all right. I think Ole Miss has a good chance of winning this game. I'll tell you guys whenever we get to the picks here in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this game, honestly, because it's another test. And if Ole Miss wins this game, Ole Miss has never been 8-0 in my lifetime. Not one time.
Oh, wow.
Not one time. If Ole Miss wins this game.
89.
Oh, my God.
That's impressive.
I
couldn't resist.
I kind of walked into that one, didn't I?
Alley-oop, baby.
But if they win
John
this
Morant.
game, they know. Last time they were 7-0, they went down to Baton Rouge and lost. Les Miles made his comment, Tiger Stadium, where dreams come to die, and all of that stuff. So we'll see. We'll see exactly how this goes. But if Ole Miss can win this at 8-0, I am going to be unbearable for the next 3 weeks. Warning. If you think I've been unbearable for this, I will be unbearable the next 3 weeks if Ole Miss wins in Baton Rouge. I don't care about Texas A&M because, honestly, Ole Miss can slip up in that game. If they beat Alabama, they're still going to win the SEC West.
I can't stand when people come out here just to brag. Well, anyway. No.
Jeb, I'm still waiting on you to sing, bro.
I used to.
Yeah, no, I think Ole Miss is. Yeah, I'm not going to give away my pick, but I mean, you just watch Ole Miss play. It's just hard. Like, if you're just a football fan, it's hard to watch any of our teams. Really, it's hard to watch any of our teams and just not be enthralled. Like just watching the offenses work, just watching Bryce Young go to work despite the limitations that Bill O'Brien puts in his place. It's nice to watch Hendon Hooker and Tennessee play football. As much as burns me to hate to say that, Josh Heupel, I wish he coached somewhere else so I could root for him, but I can't because what's going on behind me there. I just can't do it. But I'm a huge fan, just professionally. Being in the coaching profession, I'm a huge fan of Josh Heupel. The dude freaking gets it, man. And watching Ole Miss is fun, and of course my dogs are on a freaking ride, man.
And it's also
exciting.
nice for Nick Saban to hire Bill O'Brien to give other people a chance. So that was nice of him.
Yeah, he's a team player here. He's doing it for the brand, doing it for the league, doing it for the SEC. So
I'm just messing with you, Jack.
No, you're good.
Jake's like, pile on, motherfucker, pile on. All right, there goes
the clean rating right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was kind of jumbled, so we might have saved it.
I got my hand slapped by Locked On, so I can't put SEC After Dark on the Locked On Ole Miss page anymore. So now it's just on the SEC After Dark page.
They told you no dice.
Y'all's Conference Network, yeah. They told me to take off all my SEC stuff because apparently we have SEC people too.
Well, why don't they get rid of them and hire us? All right. So right. Mississippi State, Alabama. Well, the Bleav networks. But we got to deal with TuneIn Radio. So we got 2 channels on TuneIn Radio. So we're gonna have the last laugh. Ha 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 ha. All right, Mississippi State, Bama. This is gonna be a bloodbath, I think, because Bama's pissed off. Bryce Young is going to. It is. It is because typically it is until it's not.
Yeah,
I'm going to believe that it is.
Oh, I'm right there with you. There's no chance in heck that I'm going to take Mississippi State in this game. But after Texas A&M and Arkansas and Tennessee's, like, would you be surprised if Pete Golden didn't try to play man coverage against Mike Leach Saturday night?
This season is really taught me to not be surprised by anything. But I think it's going to go much like if they do struggle, it's going to go much like the Arkansas game. I just don't think Mississippi State has the depth to hang.
Jake, you're going to that game?
Yeah, we're going to the Mississippi State game.
All right.
The only prescription is more cowbell.
Josh
Heupel will not go to
Tony,
Oklahoma, by the way. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Tennessee's going to be like, nah, you ain't leaving, cuz.
No, it's not even that. Oklahoma, the way he left Oklahoma, I think it was
They hated him.
not good.
Yeah.
They hated him there. It was not a hunky dory situation there,
Rule number one: if you're a coach, don't go home.
Yeah.
unless you're
No.
Kirby.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't even do that because at some point it's going to go poorly for him.
Well,
And
Kirby is home, so
that's what I'm saying. At some point it's going to go poorly for him. I don't know if he's going to turn into Nick Saban. He might. It could happen.
He won a
But-
national championship. He's going to be good for a little while.
But Gene
He's gonna be
Chizik
good
was
for a
good
minute.
for 2 years after winning a natty.
Auburn is on a different level of insanity with their boosters, so they're an outlier, dude.
Yeah.
They're like the polar opposite of Vandy, who's like way too patient, and you got Auburn, who if you have a loose stool one morning, they're going to fire you.
You got to be way too patient at Vandy.
Yeah.
You have to be, but you know
Clark Lee
when it's-
almost deserved 7 years.
when it's a dumpster fire under Derek Mason, they cut bait like 2 years too late. Georgia notoriously patient, especially with basketball. John Fox was just going south every year, and they fired him about 4 years too late. Same with Mark Fox.
Yeah,
John Fox is the
He's a
Broncos.
football coach, right?
Yeah, Mark Fox, yeah. And then Tom Crean. The Tom Crean experience lasted a year too long. They're just patient at Georgia. Right,
Well-
wrong, or indifferent. They're just patient.
That's what everybody was talking about. SEC media days, and I thought it's nice the SEC could just have a media days for that little space of time in between football season and baseball season.
Yeah, and they did
Yeah.
the whole year. So Vanderbilt, Missouri. We came into the season thinking this was going to be the battle for last place. Surely one of these teams will get a dub here. I think it's going to be Vandy.
You would think.
I think it's going to be Vandy. I have a gut feeling. It's not based on anything. AJ Swan showed me some really good things. I know the Georgia game was 55-0, but there were some plays in there, some isolated plays
Did he throw a pick?
in there. God, I can't remember. I was flipping back and forth between the Alabama-Tennessee game. I didn't see a whole lot of the
He didn't
defensive
have
series.
one, so if he survived
No.
that Georgia game,
I don't think he has a pick yet.
I don't think
He's
he
still
threw
at zero.
one. No, I think he's still at 0.
Yeah.
He had a nice game against Georgia. Some really nice throws. He had a couple drives where you were starting to kind of think, okay, well, Vandy's moving the ball here a little bit, and then just shut down. Georgia's deep. Georgia's just too deep for Vandy. But I think AJ Swan is going to give a team like Missouri a lot of fits because he can. Some of the throws that he can make are really, really good. And Missouri is such a roller coaster. I just don't know that they can handle the emotional swings of whatever. And it took a near brawl pregame for them to get up for the Georgia game. Otherwise, I think that was going to be a blowout. But that kind of momentum, that kind of like hurrah moment for Missouri, kind of brought them together. Like, hey, F Georgia, and here we go. And that's what you got. So the Georgia game is not really indicative of what Vanderbilt really is. I mean, look at the first half against Ole Miss. I think that's probably your best picture of Vanderbilt under A.J. Swan and what this offense is capable of. Now, if they had any sort of depth, that might have been a really much more interesting game, but they didn't, and Ole Miss took over. But
if Ole Miss didn't have depth, they'd lost that game. Ole Miss teams lose that game in the past.
Yeah, they do, and they didn't this time. But it's going to be interesting. I think Vanderbilt can do a lot of good things, especially if they can protect against Missouri's defensive line. That's where they're the best. Cover Luther Burden, and contain Missouri's defensive line, and you got them. What's the biggest sulfide this year?
What's a sulfide?
I don't
What
know.
that mean?
What does that mean? Facebook
Judkins
user.
dominating and South Carolina fail quarterback transfer.
Maybe
What's the
surprise?
biggest? Was surprise maybe?
Sulfide. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like here's some new. I'm about to learn some new slang here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
real.
was like, oh.
Cassidy Bennett didn't get hurt. He took a big shot, but he was fine. He could have gone back in the game. They just said, "Nah, we're up like 35-0. You're not, or 38-0. You're not going back in."
Smart.
That was total precaution. I think he's fine.
Yeah. I think
And
Judkins
it's a
is the
bye
surprise of the
week. He's
conference.
fine.
Yeah.
Judkins
Judkins
is
is the surprise. Spencer Rattler being not good, that's not a surprise to
anybody
anybody that
shocked
pays
at that?
attention. Yeah.
Is anybody
It was
shocked at
more
that?
surprising. Everybody thought he was gonna be good. I never got it.
Those people, I didn't get that. I didn't get that memo. Sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to think that Spencer Rattler was going to be
You
good.
know, Arkansas's defense being a dumpster fire, that's probably the second biggest surprise.
Yeah, their defense is bad, like legit
Yeah.
bad.
Like Ole Miss 2018 bad.
Yeah.
Like they can't stop a nosebleed bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is. I
It was
think
like Alabama was running like 100-meter dashes out there on the football field. Nobody, just untouched for 80 yards. It just
Yeah. Now it's not surprising to us, but I think it's surprising to the general media and the just the overall SEC fan base that Florida being this much of a roller coaster and really ultimately this bad is surprising because they shouldn't be. I mean, I'm not surprised because I know how they recruited. None of us are surprised because we know what Dan Mullen is capable of or not capable of in recruiting. None of us are surprised that LSU's improving under Brian Kelly. They just have to figure some things out.
they're going to win,
think,
just not this year, probably.
I think we found out how important Will Levis is to that Kentucky team because they're pretty
Yeah.
bad without him. But they got a big win against Mississippi State. I think you could say people are surprised at how good Tennessee's defense is this year. Being the style of play that they have on offense, I think that would qualify as a big sulfide for the season.
I think the pass rush has been a lot better than we thought it would be.
I think Kentucky and Tennessee has a chance to be a game.
Well, yeah, Kentucky's good on defense.
Yeah,
They're pretty good on defense.
Yeah,
They can get after you now.
Other than Georgia, they're probably the best defense in the league.
And that game's in Knoxville, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, last year was their 45-15 time of possession game in
That's a
Lexington.
wrap. That's a wrap. All right. Well, you know what that means. Speaking of that's a wrap, it's time for picks.
Picks.
Picks. So we are SEC After Dark. Stephen Willis, Corey Burton, Jeb Beecham, Jake Thomas. Joining you for this pick segment. It's brought to you by betonline.ag. Also brought to you by Rocky Top, Dolly Parton's version. Sorry, Becky.
Oh
I
God.
get her wound up on that again.
You said Rocky.
I did. Okay, so Becky, voice of God. I'm going to start with you this week. So get
Okay.
ready to roll.
Vols
Get
by
ready
50.
to roll. All right. So our first game is actually a no-line game. I'm just going to ask you why you're picking Tennessee. It's a pretty clean sweep, so I'm not going to go through everybody on this one. But Becky, I just want to hear your pick here.
Okay. Well, I looked to my buddies at edurank.org to figure out who the top alumni were from every school. Figured
Ooh.
that's going to help me make my picks this week. Tennessee Martin has Van Jones. Y'all might have seen him on CNN. He's a commentator. But UT has Oprah. And I'm not picking against Oprah.
That's smart. That's
Harpo.
smart.
Yeah.
Although I do want to point out UT also has your aunt, but she probably don't listen to the show, so it's fine. UT Martin, sorry.
I was about to say, what aunt?
No, UT Martin. has your aunt.
So the storyline here, I think Tennessee is going to get triple digits here because the whole Ty Simpson situation.
Wait, what's the Ty Simpson situation?
I think some recruiting stuff happened when he signed with Alabama. But I don't think he was so nice to Tennessee. And his dad is the head coach at UT Martin. Well, fun fact, Jess Simpson.
Now, before we go on, Jake, I do want
Just
to point out
remember.
that in your pick, you put UT, and these are both actually technically UT. So
UTM.
Yeah,
Coulda-
one of them is UTM.
Come on, Jeb. Come on, Jeb.
Clever.
All right,
Jeff's
Becky.
just sitting there trying
It's a
to big
division
brother.
of UT.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we
Okay.
lost Jake.
All right, Becky, stay on the line.
Yes, sir.
Becky Willis, please stay on the line. All right, our next game, LSU hosts the Ole Miss Rebels. They are 2-point favorites in Death Valley in Baton Rouge. Can LSU pull off the upset, the monumental upset in this case? Or is Ole Miss going to take care of business?
Well, we all know that I am an Ole Miss homer. That's where I went to school. I love Ole Miss. Ole Miss's #1 alumni is William Faulkner. How horrifically boring could you possibly get?
Oh.
LSU, on the other hand, has Shaquille O'Neal. And how you
They have
picking
James
against
Corville,
Shaq? That's true. James Corville is amazing. I'm going with Shaq on this one. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm picking LSU.
Hey, Shaq Daddy. Okay. Jake, are you still with us?
I don't think he is.
Thank you for
Oh,
Okay.
Wait, just a second.
All
I can get him back in just a second.
Okay. Jeb, go ahead.
Oh, well, okay. We'll
Steve,
wait
you'll
for him
go
to come
last
back.
on
But,
this.
well,
go
no,
ahead.
my only question going into this was how big a line would I still take Ole Miss? Because I do think it's going to be a tough game. But when they came out and said that LSU's favored, that's easy for me. I'm taking Ole Miss on that one.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to take, if you look in the pick segment, this is something I used to do to tweak Steve a little bit too. Because that's my pastime if you haven't figured it out by now. Old Mississippi is something that Steve would get fired up about early on in our time together at Rivals.com as table mates in the recruiting room there, and also foosball opponents. But Old Mississippi, I think, they've got all the bullets in the gun to beat this to win this game. I think LSU has figured a lot of things out, and they had a tremendous effort down in the swamp. But I just think the situation, the matchup is just not good for them. I think Jaxson Dart's going to have a huge game, as is Judkins and as is Evans. I think they're going to have a big day in the running game. So I'm taking the Rebs. Jake.
I'm back. I don't know, just knocked me out for some reason. But if this game was a night game, it might be a little bit closer, but I'm taking the Land Sharks.
All right.
Steve?
One thing before I make my pick, I do have a request. Ole Miss needs to wear the navy helmets, the red jerseys, and the gray pants because it's the best uniform game in college football whenever that gets worn. Do not play around. Now, this is a 2-point game, so this becomes essentially a pick 'em. So which team do you think is going to actually win the game? I think Ole Miss is going to win the game. I think Ole Miss is going to win the game like 27-17. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm going with Ole Miss.
All right. So basically, everyone except Becky is a clean sweep to Ole Miss. All right, Vanderbilt travels to Columbia, Missouri, to take on the Tigers. The Fighting Eli Drinkwitzes. Becky, Missouri is 14-point favorites in this game. What do you like?
Well, Vandy has Al Gore representing them, and Missouri has Brad Pitt. So it's Al Gore versus Brad Pitt.
Well.
I'm going to go with Mr. Pitt.
Not Al Gore. He invented the internet, you know.
He also invented global warming.
And he fought Man Bear Pig. Good for him.
Yeah, he did.
I forgot about
Yeah.
Man Bear Pig.
He's super serial about that.
I'm changing my pick. I'm picking Vandy. Man Bear Pig wins.
There you go. See, Becky.
Oh, so I'm going to be the only one with faith in Missouri?
I guess so, Jeb. Go
I
ahead
don't-
and tell us about it.
It's another
This
L.
was actually my
tell us about
toughest one just because of the line. I like Missouri in this game. I don't know if I like them by 14. I'm going to go ahead and stick with it and say I think Missouri is going to win this one. Missouri actually does a good job at controlling the clock and playing team stuff. Like they've lost, but they've lost by very little in some of these games and played really hard. And I know Vanderbilt plays a lot harder than I thought they would at the beginning of this year. Like they've had a good year too, but I just feel like Missouri is going to take control, and this is going to be one of their good games of the season, and this is theirs to win. So, taking Missouri.
Missouri against conference opponents, they've had close games. And I think this is going to be a very different Vanderbilt team than everybody is used to. I think even if Vanderbilt doesn't win outright, I still think they're going to cover in this one. I still think they're going to cover the 14 because that's a lot of points. And I know Vandy's, typically pretty bad, but I don't know. I just feel like this is a good matchup for them. I feel like this is, I don't know. I just feel like they're going to at least cover. So I may be completely wrong here. I went 1-6 last week, so
last week was rough.
That was not good. Not good at all. So, Jake.
I think Vandy is the better team. I know they're going on the road, but I think for the battle of the bottom dwellers in the East, I think Vandy wins this one. I'm not going to say they win out, but they win this one, and Missouri, unfortunately, gets that title for the worst team in the SEC East this year.
And Steve.
We've been saying for 6 months Vandy was going to get somebody this year. Vandy is going to get somebody this year. This is the game that we were looking at as a team that Vandy could get them. And you get Vandy and 14 points in this situation? Give me the Commodores.
That's right.
Rear Admiral, lower half, arriving.
There you go. The Foghorn Leghorn. All right. Our next game, Becky. Our next game, the Alabama Crimson Tide. They are home this week. They are 21-point home favorites as they welcome the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And Mike Leach, the Pirate, rolls into town. Can the Pirate cover or win outright, or is Alabama going to win and cover, Becky?
Well, per my buddies at edurank.org, the #1 alumni for the illustrious
Free shout out.
University of Alabama is Bernie Madoff, a criminal. He
wow.
robbed from people, went to jail, died in prison, but he's up against Dak Prescott. I will never pick Dak Prescott for anything. So I'm going to go with Captain Criminal and pick Alabama for this game.
Oh, so Bernie Madoff over Dak Prescott. Okay, all right.
Wow.
And now we've heard it all. Thanks, Becky. Jeb, follow that, please. 'Cause I'm not.
Oh, God.
That.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I just kind of want to not even talk. But, no, my thought process on this one was I feel like Coach Leach and Will Rogers would normally watch a secondary get, just struggle the way Bama did this week and get excited about playing them. I think there was not any ounce of them that was excited to see that game because Bama is going to be angry and Bama does not lose twice in a row. I'm definitely taking Alabama to cover. I think they're going to destroy Mississippi State.
Absolutely. And, John, to answer your question, how the hell would it be an upset? Yeah, they're favored in the sports book, but I don't know if you've seen the number beside Ole Miss's name. It says 7.
Yeah.
7, top 10. I don't think LSU has a number by their name, do they? That's higher than Ole Miss? That would qualify as an upset. Even no matter what the hell the sports books say. I don't care what the sports books say. That would you're giving a higher ranked team points. That seems like they just want people to bet LSU.
They had a number next to their name before Tennessee dog stomped them. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Right.
So that's where the term upset comes from because Ole Miss has that little number by their name. It says 7. Georgia has one that says 1. Still.
No, that was a nice humble brag. I like that.
Tennessee has one that says 3. 3. I'm going to have to take you at your word. Number 3. All right. So, nice little anchor man. Okay. So, I think Bama's going to absolutely destroy Mississippi State. I'm with you guys on that. It's just going to be, I said it earlier, I alluded to it. It's going to be a bloodbath. I think that's going to be on the scoreboard, too. I think there's going to be a lot of pent up frustration and anger. And Bama did a lot of things in the Tennessee game to be able to win that. I think had they played someone else, it probably wouldn't have gone well for that someone else. So I think Bama's going to do the same thing, and that someone else is going to be Mississippi State. It's not going to be as pretty. So I think I'm taking Bama and the cover. Jake.
There's 2 things I hope to see Saturday night. Saban has already referenced in the press conference this week that the secondary positions are open for competition. I would say probably Jordan Battle and Kool-Aid and Brian Branch are pretty much set, but DeMarco Hellams, he may be be the guy that may be in trouble. He did get beat a lot in that game. And the other thing is will the defensive playbook get more simplified? You talked about it earlier, Corey, how it's a lot of check down. Somebody goes out wide and goes in motion like, okay, well, you got him, and then there's just confusion everywhere. Like, well, who's got him? That can't happen. And this is the secondary is Saban's baby. I don't know why people keeps talking about it and giving him a free pass, but I mean, the struggles are under his under his cloud here because he loves the secondary. The secondary is not playing up to their standard. So I think that changes this week. But I know Mississippi State's got to be salivating at the mouth because, I mean, that secondary got trounced this past weekend. But I do think Alabama wins and wins big.
Steve?
Hey, Jeb, how many losses has Saban had in the Alabama era?
20.
20?
No. Well, I mean, maybe his first year, but I was gonna say
First year he went 7-6, but then after that I think he went like 112-6.
Yeah, let's take those 6 away, and Alabama has like 14 losses. How many times do you think after a loss Alabama's played Mississippi State?
Seems like every year. Every time they lose, it seems like Mississippi State is next. And it seems like
happened
they never play at
5
Mississippi
times.
State.
Yeah,
And it seems like they never play at Mississippi State either. It's always at home.
It's called tonic. It's called get right juice. That's what this game is because you don't want to bet against Alabama. It feels like a trap. The season's gone completely sideways. This just feels like a 38-0. Alabama's going to go out there. Bill O'Brien's going to play murder ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. It's going to be 38-0. It's going to feel like 55-0. And the Tide's going to get out there and everything is going to be good in the world after this game. That's kind of what it feels like. It kind of feels like tonic. I'm going to go with Alabama.
yeah.
And it's kind of crazy that we're saying that Bama season goes sideways after a loss to a top 10 opponent.
Mm-hmm.
that has done nothing to derail any goal that they have still. That's pretty crazy.
True.
All right. Our next game, we have 2 games left. We have a bonus feature here. Bonus surprise here. A&M, Texas 8-4. They're 3-point favorites on the road at South Carolina. Becky, can the Gamecocks get it done, or do the Fighting Aggies get it done?
Pillow fight of the week. So A&M's most notable alumni is Eva Longoria. You may remember her. She's a Desperate Housewife. South Carolina's most notable alumni is the illustrious Elle Fanning, also known as the younger sister of Dakota Fanning. I have no idea what she's been in. So
Darius
between
Rucker.
those two, edurrank.org. So between those two, I thought, I better go to the number 2s because I can't choose between those two. I don't know anything about them.
Just let her cry.
South Carolina's
wagon wheel.
proudly, their number 2 most notable alumni is Lindsey Graham. So immediately I'm picking A&M.
Yeah.
Oh, good. No,
Yeah.
no. She's being sucked. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Becky, you're being sucked into the cult. Jeb, please stop this madness.
Nope. I'm completely with her. I'm going with A&M. So no, I think I like A&M's defense in this one. I think they end up just giving Spencer Rattler fits again, who's already thrown so many interceptions this season that just I just enjoyed the heck out of it. So I think A&M. If the line was bigger, maybe, but 3 points, I'll take A&M to cover.
I can't stop myself. I can't stop myself. Okay, no, I'm going with A&M too because South Carolina really just sucks. Let's just be real with that. They suck at quarterback. Rattler is not the guy. I just do not like this matchup for South Carolina. Beamer's doing all the little tricks that he can to get his team motivated, but it's just not going to be enough. Devin Achane is going to have a huge game in this one. So realistically, I pick A&M, but I hope I go. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-1, and that one's the wrong one.
Nice.
You can't go 6-1. You can go 5-1.
We're not picking 7 games, are we? 5-1. So Jake, I can add a game to make it 7. Jake,
I'm taking a little bit out of Becky's playbook here, and I'm going with which of these two coaches has the best personality. Jimbo has the personality of a doorknob. Shane Beamer has an awesome personality and dances around and everything. So I think he dances all over Jimbo's grave after he buries them this Saturday night.
God, I want to be with you, Jake. I really do. I want to be with you in this pick, but I can't. Steve, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a situation where Spencer Rattler is honestly a worse quarterback than Haynes King. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's only a 3-point game, though. The line, A&M's only favored by 3. If you take away home field advantage, they're thinking it's
trying
a 6.
to get people to bet. Nobody would touch this game if it was anything more than 3.
But even then, they think it's a 7-point game. They think there's a 7-point spread in between them, and that's just hilarious for 8-4. I think 8-4 has a chance to win this game and go, but in the end, 8-4. The question is going to be: will 8-4 have a healthy quarterback to go play in a bowl game? Maybe the Duke's Mayo Bowl against Wake Forest or the Texas Bowl against Kansas. Actually, I want A&M to play Kansas. That's the game I want. I want that bowl game to happen. I want to see A&M with their busted quarterback go to the Texas Bowl and play Texas.
I do not want to subject Kansas to that. Maybe Oklahoma State.
Kansas will mop the floor with A&M.
Oklahoma State, A&M, they could just have dueling like handgun signal off there. All right, Becky, we're going out west. But
Y'all gonna take me away? Where we go?
We're going to Eugene, Oregon. The home of Nike, where the University of Oregon, the Ducks, they're 6-point favorites as they host the surprise of the West Coast, the UCLA Bruins, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson coming off a bye. How do you see this one, Beck?
Ooh, well, UCLA has "I came here to lead, not to read" Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's very impressive.
Yes.
But Oregon, on top of having puddles, has Sam Elliott. That voice, that mustache, Sam Elliott all day, every day. All night, too. All night long.
I didn't know UCLA had a Arnold Schwarzenegger. I may have to switch my pick.
Steve.
Yeah, Jeb, go.
No, I'm.
First it was Ed Reed.
Yeah.
Now Sam Elliott. Oh, boy.
Chip Kelly's doing a good job at UCLA. I mean, they're much improved this year, but I don't like Chip Kelly, and I kind of enjoy the fact that Bo Nix has gone there and actually playing really well. So I'm going to take Oregon at home to cover that spread.
Oregon's absolutely been obliterating everybody since the Georgia game, and Bo Nix has been on fire. However, UCLA has been the team that I thought Utah was going to be all along. Physical and explosive. And they've done all of that. Jake Bobo has been one of the best receivers in the Pac-12, in west of the Mississippi. He's been one of the top receivers in the country. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has been finally played like the quarterback everyone expected him to when he came out of Bishop Gorman. So I'm taking the Bruins here because I think they're going to out-physical Oregon. I think they're going to give them fits. They haven't been prepared for the atmosphere that Autzen Stadium is going to bring because UCLA draws like 20 people in the Rose Bowl. But I'm still taking the Bruins here because I think they're just the better all-around team.
I'm going to take a page from my wife. And on one side, you have Puddles the Duck, which is potentially the greatest mascot in all of college sports. The other side, you have a teddy bear. So it's Puddles the Duck versus a teddy bear. And Puddles the Duck is basically Donald Duck, and I'm Disney annual pass holder, and I like going to Disney, so I'm going to go with Oregon in this game because Puddles the Duck. It's just fun to say.
Hey, their crowd's growing. Jake. Steve just completely jumped you to get his Puddles the Duck reference in.
That's fine. Corey, I'm with you. I'm going with UCLA. I can never think of their quarterback's name because he's got like 20 first names.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson. There you go.
There you go. So
DTR.
DTR. So
I think his dad is the Admiral.
He is looking really, really good right now. You mentioned the wide receiver, and I mean they were playing lights out.
Zach Charbonnet. They can run the ball too. Zach Charbonnet.
Right. So, and I mean, I'm sorry, I'm still not sold on Bo Nix. I mean, I've seen that script too many times down here in Auburn.
Yeah.
being the big Auburn fan that I am, it's he's terrible. So I just think DTR gets the better of him in this matchup.
War Eagle.
All right. Whoa, Eagle, baby. All right. Jeb, before we leave this show, do you listen to Feinbaum, and what do you think of the regular callers?
Not on a regular basis. I did enjoy him on game day, coming out of that coffin. That was a lot of fun. But no, not normally. What?
John just asked in the chat.
That question was for Jake.
That was to me.
Oh,
Jake.
I wasn't even looking
Yeah,
at the
it's
chat.
for me.
I promise
no,
you I can read it.
I do not.
I promise.
Yeah, and I do not watch Feinbaum because he's an idiot.
First time, long time, Paul.
Oh, sweet.
I wonder if John still has PTSD from UCLA.
Good old Rocket Top. Sorry, y'all go ahead.
There you go. Finally.
I'm
to
not
end
the
the
one
show.
playing that. So,
The only thing I don't like for UCLA in this matchup is the Bruins. They had to play against Utah last week. It's back-to-back weeks playing versus physical teams. No, USC played Utah last week.
Right.
UCLA was
Another
off.
great game.
UCLA was off.
Yeah.
They were off.
It was
So,
a good game.
it was USC.
So,
For the love of God, make it stop.
make it stop.
For John's sake, yeah, I'm gonna take the headphones off and just let you ride with Rocky Top. So that's gonna
Louder.
That's gonna do it for us here on the SEC After Dark podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network. We thank you for joining us. We thank you in the chat, John. As always, you just bring it every week. You just never let us down. Facebook user, whoever you are, thank you, Becky, Cassidy. As always, as our associate producers, well freaking done. Jeb, Jake, enjoy the rivalry. Jeb, after November 5th, there's a possibility that you two could rematch in Atlanta, or a possibility of UT Ole Miss rematch in Atlanta, or possibility of Georgia Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's like
That
a
would
Brady
be-
Bunch situation.
Yeah.
All four of these teams are the ones that's in contention.
Yeah,
So-
two of us are going to square off in Atlanta. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a fun week too. So
Everybody's got to take care of business. All you got to do, just take
That's
care of
right.
business.
So I'll let you guys go with this. Hillwood football will cease to exist after this Friday. We are changing to James Lawson High School. We're getting a brand new high school. We're removing the Hillwood brand. We're leaving that in the rear view, and we're taking over James Lawson. So Friday night will be the last game as the Hillwood Hilltoppers. So we look forward to
What is Lawson's nickname?
I'm not contractually able to give you that information. Also, I just don't really know what they've chosen yet. The big reveal is November 2nd. So
Oh, okay.
I think we're gonna be. I have a hunch that we're gonna be two-tone blue with a little bit of gold. So Grizzlies, Nashville SC, Titans type situation.
Okay.
Preds, that type of color scheme. Yeah. So
Jeb left early. He gone.
he gone.
Hang on.
So for Jeb, who is just enjoying Rocky Top so much that he couldn't contain himself, Jake and Steve and our voice of God, Becky, and our other associate producer, Cassidy Thomas, we thank you for joining us on SEC After Dark on the Bleav Network, presented by betonline.ag. Also coming at you on y'all's conference network. We hope you have a great week, an even better weekend, and we'll see you back here next week. As always, go Dogs.
Take care, Wes.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Gosh almighty.
Gosh almighty.
Blam, Ole Miss.
Purple shirts, yellow breeches. Go to hell, you sons of bitches.
Alrighty then.
Well, there goes our clean rating.
Well,
Yeah,
you
the
already blew
last
that
one.
one up.
Nah,
Yeah, big time.